Hello, and in today's video we are doing a reaction video to the appointment of Dilly Ding Dilly Dong Claudio Ranieri as the new Watford head coach. And you might ask, well, how long is this one going to last? You've got to think of it as we want to get this guy in for the experience. Unfortunately, though, he was, in every other sense of the word, the best manager in a human being sense. He just was out of his depth. Xisco Munoz didn't have any experience, and I'll admit it was a mistake from the club. You know, we get promoted. We see that with Slavisa Jokanovic. We think, okay, there's a bit of a money agreement there. He gets moved on. We see it with, you know, obviously the previous season to when we went and stayed up. We wanted to push forward. We sold. We got let go of Walter Mazzari, and then we had Marco Silva. That all went off, and then Javi Gracia was a long stay. He was a successful and fantastic manager. I'm not saying we should bring him back like we did with Kike, but the point was we were going to be ruthless until we got that right formula, and we got the right formula with Javi. And then obviously post FA Cup final, the formula started to, you know, not work again, and the team morale was awful. The performances were not good enough, and we had to change things up. And yeah, let's not, you know, beat around the bush. That 1920 season, we made a lot of managerial appointment mistakes. Number one, bringing back Kike was a mistake. Number two, sacking Nigel Pearson, obviously, but the fact is, people were saying that that's why he got sacked. It was a bust-up after the West Ham game. Again, we had to win, and Pearson did a great job. He nearly kept us up, but not quite, and it was just Hayden Mullins. What is he supposed to do with Arsenal and Man City to go? It was unfortunate. So, you know, it was a bit of a cagey stuff, really, for that 1920 season. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to get another Javi. We're trying to get another bit of, you know, sangria, and he drinks it, and yeah, Javi's, yes, just amazing. But Xisco also, I think he's got to be up there in terms of Javi levels for what he's achieved in such a small space of time, and just the character, the, you know, human that Xisco Munoz is. I will never forget him. He is just the most lovely guy. What he's sacrificed in terms of, you know, his kids. He's not seen for so long, and he's learnt on the job, and that is the hardest thing in any situation, but especially post-COVID. You know, no fans, obviously, but he made up for that with the amazing amount of interaction he's got on social media. And obviously, you know, with no fans, you want to have a team that's going to go for it. They don't necessarily have the 12th man every game, but they're going to have some drive within themselves. And Xisco gave that. He gave back the family feel to Watford. He gave back the feel-good factor. And the Sweet Caroline, you know, recommendation. If that was Xisco, then he's a genius, because we caught on to that in the summer of 2021 before basically anyone else did. And yeah, then it happened to be at the Euros as well. But he's just amazing, and I'm so grateful. It's obviously a shame. Now, whether you can sit here and say, oh, if we'd have given him more time, he would have, you know, turned us round. Look, at the end of the day, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say we're 15th, and it's not all doom and gloom. Of course, you can say, oh, right, Frank de Boer from Crystal Palace a few seasons back didn't score any goals and didn't do anything in the first 4 games. But also, that was 4 games. So, we're not saying that Frank de Boer could have turned that round. But the point is, with this Watford club, we know how we work by now. And we are getting absolutely ridiculously ridiculed by, you know, pundits, social media. It's just, we know how we work, and what we have done has worked in the past. So I get that it's harsh. It is a harsh decision, but it works for us. It's like a sensible decision for us, because we know Xisco's not got the experience, because we know that we want more of a effective management. And I'm not saying that he's a bad manager, Xisco. I'm not. In fact, he did really well in the Championship. But it's very different getting a team promoted where, you know, I'm not being funny, but if you look at our squad from that relegated season, going into the Championship, all right, we lost a few names. We lost the Corey, we lost the Capu in the, you know, December, January window. But that was a very good squad, and that shouldn't have really been relegated. And for the Championship level, we knew it was do or die, really. We had to get promoted because the squad was so good, and there was a lot of important names that we needed to keep if we did get promoted. And therefore we did get promoted, and Xisco really, in a squad that was in a bit of a mess under the very just harsh management of Vladimir Ivic, we needed a pick-me-up, and Xisco gave us that pick-me-up, and he just got them playing attacking football. And actually, we made the most out of our last 14 games or whatever it was, and we were beating teams like there was no tomorrow, 6-0, 1-0 if we needed to, but generally scoring more goals than that 4-3-3. It was amazing, and I'm so grateful for Xisco Munoz for that. But it's just the thing that you think about, was it kind of like, alright, you've done the job, but not to be cold and no emotion, because we want to show emotion, we want to get behind the club and what they decide, but realistically, to learn a pro license, to learn on the job, there's just no time for that in the Premier League, and we probably should have seen that before. I think it's probably one of those things, it's an emotional decision where you see how well he did in the Championship and you think, oh, at least give him the chance to prove himself in the Prem. And that's probably why they've gone and done it. But looking back on it, doing it after 7 games, it makes it look much more harsh on Xisco's part. Look, it's not an attack on him. He is a lovely guy, and actually, he was changing as a manager. He was developing, but we just can't really wait around for him to start, doing that and doing that quickly enough. And I know you're going to say, oh, 14th, but the performances, or 15th, the performances haven't been good enough. And, beating Norwich was a bit of a, a necessity. It was a bit of a, I'm trying to think of the right word. It was like it was basically a given. I'm not going to lie, because if we can't beat Norwich, then we're finishing 20th. But it was about, can we be that third team that basically battles ahead of the other teams looking for that third spot, if that makes sense, for the last relegation place. Because what we thought was, Newcastle 19th probably, they'll be in around there, and then you got Brentford probably at the start of the season, you would have said that, Burnley, Southampton, and maybe Leeds, right? And now what's happened is Newcastle have got this takeover. They're going to turn into one of the biggest teams. I don't know if they'll attract anyone, but money will get them out of this situation, which is not ideal for Watford's sake. You got Brentford, who've now suddenly turned into this really good team that people are backing to stay up. And then you've got Leeds, who obviously we gave their first win to, and you'd imagine they'd be okay. It's about winning games, and now they've started, they'll probably go on a good run. So it's not ideal. It's not ideal, and now it's between Burnley and Southampton, but we don't know who that third spot's going to be, and Watford will definitely be in around there. And we said at the start of the season, like, a successful season for us this season, as is with most Championship clubs, is keep hold of your best players, i.e. Ismaila Sarr, and also stay up. Try and consolidate yourself, and that's what we're trying to do with this Ranieri appointment. Now, I know you're going to say, oh, why sack a manager after 7 games? But it's our way of doing things, and we're thinking about the fixture run as well. Like, in those fixtures, we're going to need something different. We're going to need a bit of a boost, because obviously performances in the games that we should be getting, I would say, out of the 7 games, probably we should have got at least 14 points. Maybe that's a bit even under optimistic, but we should have beaten the game against Brighton. That was a winnable game, and we were awful. Against Aston Villa, we were good, very good performance, but there's a side to it where Aston Villa were really out of character and really poor. And then Tottenham, we had chances, but we kind of didn't go full throttle, which is a shame, because we could have, caused them problems. And then Wolves was not good enough, certainly in the second half. Newcastle was not good enough, certainly in the first half. And yeah, as I said, Norwich was a bit of a formality, and Leeds not really a performance at all. And maybe we should have had that goal that got disallowed, but that really wouldn't have meant that we played well. It would have been a point that would have been useful. But look, the reality is we're not playing right well at the minute, and defensively we are conceding goals. We're not scoring enough goals, and we just needed a bit more of an upward trajectory, and that's what I'm hoping we'll get with Claudio Ranieri. I just think, 7 games, okay, fair enough, it's harsh, but it's our situation, it's our circumstance. There's a lot of people who don't see it, what's going on inside the club. Even we Watford fans don't know what's going on in the nitty gritty. There might have been a fallout, probably not though, because Xisco, you just can't fall out with that guy. He's the nicest guy in the world. But the point is, it is harsh, because when you see a manager so nice like that, to get his passion and what he's kind of got used to, and he's made his home in Watford in terms of managing them, and he will be a permanent fan now, to get that ripped away from him, obviously is very, very savage and very harsh. But we know this is what Gino Pozzo does, and like I said, it has worked for us. This, point that we're not going to waste time if we think it's not working, and Gino didn't think it was working. He had higher ambitions, and okay, yeah, Xisco's not done a lot wrong, but you've got to look at the games this season. Alright, first game of the season, really good, but should we really, from our position of the game, have let 2 goals in? Bit of a defensive mix-up there. And then Brighton, just tactically inept. Then Tottenham, okay, you'd expect us to lose that, but we at least put in a fighting performance. It's just that we really weren't scoring enough goals. Okay, Wolves, where was the team morale there? We just couldn't seem to get the players in a high tempo performance in the second half. It just was all over the place, and no sense that we were ever going to come back into it after Wolves scored. And then Newcastle, were a team on and off the pitch before obviously their takeover. Were in that situation, they were in a mess, and they hadn't won a game. They still haven't won a game this season. But yeah, they basically were not scoring goals other than St Maximan, because they had Wilson out injured. They were rebelling against Mike Ashley. They were rioting at the game. Newcastle were conceding goals. They had injuries on the defensive back line as well to people like Lascelles. It was all going on, and yet we had put in a really disorganised and really frenetic and just messy performance against Newcastle, where the first half we let them dominate us. Second half we got a goal back, but could have easily lost it at the end. And we were lucky that Newcastle were wasteful in their finishing, and really it was just not much of a performance. So we're letting these teams who should be winnable games, we're letting them walk over them. We're letting them walk over us, and that is just not good. That's not a recipe for success. You need to get the most out of these winnable games, and now we've got a run of impossible games. So what the frustration I think will be for the board, and that's why they've made this decision, is we're not doing what we should expect to do, or at least compete in these games that should be more winnable. And Leeds was an opportunity. They hadn't won a single game yet, and of course, just like with the Wolves match, we give them the first win of their season, and we just really didn't get at them. We know that Leeds defensively had injuries like Ayling, and they are leaky, but no, of course, we scored no goals in that game. And now, just to compound it, Serrata's out for 4 months or whatever it is with a torn hamstring, and we've got Joshua King injured. Tufan, he looks decent against Leeds, had that shot, but maybe should have passed. It is starting to unravel a little bit, and that is a problem. And now we've got Liverpool. But Ranieri's come in, hopefully, to just steady the ship, okay? And 7 games, I know you're going to say, what? That's not enough time for Xisco to be judged. But it's just this feeling that we need experience. And actually, we probably acted way too late with someone like Nigel Pearson, who's got Premier League experience. We thought, okay, let's wait until we're really in the thick of things, and then we'll get him, when this half the season is gone and we need a survival miracle. And that's what happened. And he nearly produced that miracle, but we didn't bring him in until December. And that was the issue, right? We wasted a lot of good opportunities for wins in the time we had under Quique Sanchez-Flores in the second season in 1920. So my point is, we're ruthless, yes, but it has been effective, and let's just not amplify this more than it needs to be. Like, the outsiders just belittle Watford. They say that our recruitment strategy is ridiculous, and I'm not saying it's the best, but I'm not also saying that it's got no sense of credibility to it. It has worked, and it's ruthless, of course, but it actually does make a club have higher ambitions. I'm not saying that Xisco was too low for us. He could have done a few good things at the club, but we need to be assured that we can be safe in a squad environment, that we can have a manager, not just, as we saw with Xisco, a great person, but also a great tactical manager. Obviously, the in-game management was a worry, and when we went behind, we don't often have a plan B. Often away from home, we just give in and throw in the towel, and it's a bit of a damp squib. So all these things amalgamating, And we need something different in this fixture run. We need something to get us a bit of momentum. And maybe that will be a manager bounce. We saw it when Nigel Pearson came in. You know, a few games in already, we had Liverpool, Man United, and we got a win against Man United. So I'm saying we need to take this in perspective. We need to think that Ranieri is a very experienced coach. What he did at Sampdoria, he kept them up basically, and on a very limited squad did well with them. And then he thought, there's not much more I can do here, I'm off. And then Roma, decent enough. And then obviously Leicester, we know what happened with Leicester. Fulham, of course, I don't think he was given enough time, but he did what he could, and the squad wasn't really scoring enough goals, not creating enough chances. And of course, that's what's going to be now his problem to sort out for Watford. Can we score enough goals? Can we create enough chances? But the point is, they appointed Ranieri very late in the season as a bit of a survival act after Slavisa Jokanovic wasn't working. And now, Ranieri's got a lot of time. He's got his own transfer window in January to sort things out. He's got a run of fixtures to, approach differently. And because of these run of fixtures, of course, the manager will be given a bit more patience, because it's about seeing, can we do something in these performances to give us confidence for the easier games, and also can we get an identity. I think that's the key thing for us Watford fans. We want to see an identity of how we play, because under Xisco, I hate to say it, in the Premier League we didn't really have a plan, and that was where we started to throw these easier inverted commas games away by going into it thinking, right, let's throw everything at it. Oh no, we can't because we're exposed defensively, and oh no, we're one goal behind, we don't show any fight. That's the game gone, so we have to move on to next week. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. So we've got to really think about this from a tactical perspective. Ranieri's very experienced, 69 years of age. I think he might be 70 now. He's very, very good at getting the football brain into the other players' brains and working out what to do in a match. And that's what I'm hoping Ranieri will give. Obviously, this could go wrong as well. We could get another manager in before the season ends. It is a 2-year deal. But it's just his experience and his charisma as well. I'm hoping he, keeps whipping out the classic catchphrases, dilly ding, dilly dong, a little bit of I am the sausage man, and of course, hopefully there won't be any penalty controversies like there was at Fulham, where he literally did say to Kamara, I want to kill you. But no, he was just joking, of course, and the idea is this guy, he knows his stuff, right? So I think more likely, I'm not saying we're going to win the league, but I'm saying we're going to get the Ranieri of Leicester rather than the Ranieri of Fulham. That's what I think, just because he's done well since he's left Fulham, at Sampdoria. And, there's no doubting this squad he's got in his possession. I'm not going to be offensive to Fulham, but there was very little, hope for Fulham at that point. They weren't scoring enough goals, and they were basically having Mitrovic or nothing. But with this squad, you look at Ismail Assar, you look at that midfield, a lot of squad depth. Ozan Tufan, we've got, Juraj Kuka, we've got really good midfielder, supposedly, or he was in the time at FC Nantes, Imran Louaza. If we can get some of these players who have not quite been edging into the team, and they prove a point, and they show us something different, they give us, our team, something different, then that's where we can start on a good run. And I know, these fixtures are awful, but once we get through this, it's about seeing what can we do in those big games. We've got big games against Burnley, Brentford in December. Can we really show those performances to give the Watford fans a bit of confidence? But I think, we should play an exciting style under Ranieri. We're not going to be as defensive, hopefully, but playing on a 4-3-3, it's attacking as well, but it's also conservative where it needs to be. So, he loves a clean sheet, as we knew at his time as Leicester. He was giving out pizzas whenever they got them. So hopefully he makes us more disciplined and solid, but also hopefully we see a different style, something a bit more exciting. But like I said, there are positives to take from our performances. This start of the season has not been Norwich, no disrespect, but they've been awful, and we've at least had something to take from these games. But we have thrown away opportunities, and now it's taking every opportunity we can, full throttle, and actually putting in performances where we're sustaining games for 90 minutes. We're not throwing in the towel early, and we're doing our best to get all hands to the pump to survive in this Premier League 2021-22 season. Thanks for watching my Ranieri reaction. Hope you have enjoyed. I'll see you next time.